Parents are often defined by the sacrifices they make, working tirelessly, giving up dreams, even laying down their lives, all to give their children a better future. But what happens when the very foundation of that sacrifice is shaken? A recent report claims that one in four Nigerian men who take DNA tests discover they are not the biological fathers of their children. It's a revelation that cuts deep. Betrayal, deceit, and broken trust, shaking homes to the very core. For the men, it's anguish. For the women, hidden secrets. And for the children, a painful truth they never asked for. But beyond the anger and the heartbreak lies a harder question. When DNA exposes the lie, can love, forgiveness, and understanding still hold a family together? Or must some bonds give way for healing to begin? Today we sit with a lawyer, a DNA testing expert, and a psychologist to explore not just the legal and scientific sides, but the emotional journey of survival after truth has shaken it to its very foundation. Meanwhile, we're going on the break, and when we come back, there'll be a viral video circulating online where a woman shares this shocking story. See you right back on Perspectives. Welcome back to Perspectives. Before we begin the show, there's a video that we would like to share with you online.
6 children after marriage of 25 years. This man is just realizing that he's not the biological father of these children. Now, this man said he has been watching my videos for over 4 months now, and he just casually decided to run DNA on all his children. Results are in, and none of them belongs to this man, not even one. He said he has never thought something like this would happen to him because he felt like he's married to the best woman in the world. He said his wife has never cheated on him, so how come all the children does not belong to him? He said even when he brought it up, the woman was feeling reluctant, so he decided to run it behind her. He said he has one child before he got married to his wife. She also has 2 children before they got married. Now he has done DNA on that one. He's the biological father. Now imagine if a marriage of 25 years with 6 children and DNA was conducted, not even one of the child belongs to that man. Imagine what marriage of this generation would be. I will keep saying it. You need to choose DNA over naming ceremony. You need to choose DNA before anything celebration when a child is born. Once a child is born, after paying hospital bills, DNA is the next thing.
My God, if that isn't shocking, I don't know what is. But joining me this morning to discuss this very, very sensitive issue is Dr. Maymunah Kadiri, popularly known as a celebrity shrink. She's a psychiatrist, mental health advocate, and life coach. Also joining me is Effiong, a human rights lawyer, activist, social commentator, and litigation lawyer. And last but not the least is Dr. Dede Muno Gilbert, who would also be with us on this show. He's a public health advocate, medical doctor, and a DNA genetics expert. So let me get straight into it. As you can see, this was a very it's a very controversial topic. So let me even start with you, Dr. Dede. There was an article that said that 25% of Nigerian men who do DNA tests are not the real fathers. And apparently this situation is quite high in urban areas. I don't know whether where you live has anything to do with but how come the number is so high? It's shockingly high.
Okay, well, I would like to also emphasize that part of the information that was put out was 1 in 4 children are not the biological fathers of Nigerian men, as against the original literature that says 1 in 4 children that were tested in a particular lab.
I think everybody knows that. Yes. The ones that were tested.
Because I've been seeing a lot of publication online that says 25%.
That's the wrong perception.
Yes, in fact, the publication says 25% of Nigerian children are not the biological.
No, 25% tested.
Yes, so I'm just trying to. I'm trying to correct that impression. Okay. Because when we want to make such a general statement about the Nigerian population, we have to understand that this is a statistics from a lab that is in a particular state.
It doesn't necessarily apply to...
Yes, so demography matters here. And also socio-economic differences. A poor man doesn't go for DNA tests because DNA test is expensive. So it means that the people you're going to be saying come for your DNA test are people who are maybe in the middle-age population, the middle socio-economic strata or the high socio-economic strata. So it doesn't reflect the true people.
Okay.
And also there's also religious difference and also ethnic difference. So I'm trying to correct that. That was,
Because of time, let's focus on the reports that we've heard about the DNA test. Those that took it. Why is it so high?
So first, we have to also consider that people who come for a DNA test have already suspected a fraud in their partner. So let me give an instance. A man noticed that his wife's attitude has changed. Maybe the wife told him that she's traveling for a conference in the UK, and his friend calls him and tells him, "Oh boy, I see your wife for somewhere." So he's like trying to understand what's really happening. Or all of a sudden, the wife's attitude has changed. So he has an idea that there might be something fishy going on, and he goes for a DNA test. Because most people that come for DNA tests already have something at the background. So that's first. Secondly, some people that come for DNA tests, the next cadre are people who probably, let's say a man is a citizen of the US or the UK, all right? And he comes to Nigeria to get married to someone, and the lady tells him she's pregnant. So if he's a citizen of the US, before you take that child abroad, before the child gets a international passport, visa, there has to be a legal representation that says this child belongs to this person. All right? Yeah. So it means that such a person is also in that cadre, but those people contribute a little fraction of what really happens. The next is maybe if there's a legal dispute, maternal, paternal dispute, and all of that.
So my point is that why is it even that high?
Now, it's because that's what I'm saying, that the people who are coming for a DNA test already perceive that there is a fraud somewhere. So it even means that if 100 men come for a DNA test, only 25 people, or if 100 men suspect their wives for having a paternity fraud, only 25 out of that 100 people really partook in that fraud. And 75% are innocent. So that is even supposed to be a reliever in the society.
Only 25.
Only 25 out of 100.
For you, only 25 out of 100 is okay.
No. Understand my.
Because you are saying they should be released.
Sorry. Let me give you an instance. You have.
I think 25% is quite high.
No, sorry.
And it's a reflection of the dynamics of society today. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to get across.
When we talk about statistics, I'm a scientist, all right, and I do a lot of research. When we talk about statistics, if people are culpable for it, it's just like going to a rural area and trying to find the number of, cultists or the number of, people that... So the population that are being tested are already in a particular confine that they are already suspecting the fraud.
Let me get to
so it's different.
Let me get to because I don't quite get what you're saying, but I'm still shocked at the number that is so high. So let me even start with you, Maymunah. What are the key factors that drives a man to go and do DNA tests in the first place?
Very, very vital question to ask, because DNA is not just about the biology. It also it affects the social order in any community or society that we belong to. So the first thing is about why will a man want to suspicion? That's suspicious. So maybe relationship insecurity, infidelity issues, trust issues, because you cannot, it's in my course of being a psychiatrist almost 2 decades now, I realized that a statement we make carelessly or just laughing over it is a very vital statement. When somebody sees a woman and say, your children resemble your husband, no. It sounds as if it is just whatever, but a lot of women, an old man, and advice from an old man said, that statement carries a heavy weight.
Are you
and Dr.
serious?
May said yes,
True.
because the women will now say, thank God there's no need for DNA. Did you get it?
Wow.
So you see where a very harmless statement makes such a huge impact.
What about situations when this child is a spitting image?
That
I've
is
seen
what
incidents like that. Spitting image of the wife's ex. Or
It has happened. We have a family right home where I'm from that is suspected belongs to a particular family.
Wow.
Until you do not need to go to look for that.
For the man to know that that's his child.
The moment they say this child belongs to this family, everybody like a split. So there are certain people like that. So those infidelity issues and all that. But again, apart from being suspicious, sometimes a man may go and check, maybe like what Dr. David said, immigration purposes, family conflict, like, you know, inheritance. That can also be, you know, an issue that this child, all my children belong to me or other. Or sometimes we've seen a case where, some cases, not even one, that the man was told that later the man got to know that he can never father a child.
Oh, wow. That's another.
And then this man already have like 3 or 2.
Like the video we just
exactly. So in one case, he already have like 4, not even 1. 4 children. In another case, he had 2. Another case, he had 3.
From all the different women?
No. From same wife. But he cannot father. They cannot. These men can't father children. But this particular one had 4 children. One had 2 children. Another one had 3 children. So to protect the secrecy, these women on their own volition, which is not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to sit down, have the discussion with this man, your husband, and say, this is what it is. But you know, that shame, stigma,
I'm going to ask you something similar. But let me, while we're still talking about this DNA secrecy thing, I want to ask, is it legal for fathers to run DNA tests without the knowledge of their partners? Is it not, will some not view it as a breach of privacy?
It's rather a complicated subject. Now, let me just lay some foundation. Under Nigerian law, we have what is called presumption of paternity. And that presumption is rooted in the provisions of section 165 of the Evidence Act 2011. And it posits that any child born during the subsistence of a valid marriage or within 280 days of the dissolution of such marriage is presumed to be the child of that man. Now, when a child is, as I said, when a child is born while marriage, a valid marriage is subsisting, marriage recognized under the law is subsisting, or 280 days after it is dissolved, the law automatically presumes that child to be the biological child of the man. However, this is what we lawyers call a rebuttable presumption. In other words, it's a presumption that can be set aside, that can be controverted upon the availability of evidence. Now, how do you rebut that presumption? There are instances, of course, where the paternity of a child is in dispute, the man has reasons to contest the fidelity of his wife. The law allows, the Child Rights Act allows, Section 63 allows, a court, upon application, you file a motion at the court with an affidavit and say, look, I'm not sure that this child that is living with me is actually my biological child. The court can order a paternity. The Child Rights Act allows resort to scientific means, the use of scientific tests to ascertain the paternity of a child. Now, I need to also state clearly that although a man has the right to demand paternity tests, there are privacy concerns rooted in Section 37 of the 1999 Constitution.
Get the approval of the woman.
Section 37 of the Constitution. Well, that is why the Child Rights Act, Section 63, allows a court to make that order. Can the court compel a mother to submit to paternity tests against her will? Well, there are a bit of conflict on that. There's a 2015 decision of the Court of Appeal in the Nazio and Nadi, Alozia and Nadia, where the court said you cannot do it. But in 2 years after, 2017, the same Court of Appeal in Izontimi and Izontimi said, look, that where the evidence is available, where there are facts to support such an application, the mother can be compelled. But the doctor will confirm to you that you don't necessarily need the sample of the mother to undertake a DNA. And because the child is presumably that of the man, it is not a crime for a man to take a child that he believes is his own and subject that child to paternity to clarify any dispute arising therefrom. Can the mother sue for breach of privacy? I'm not sure that is possible. But what I can tell you is that for that evidence to be admissible, the best way to do it is to approach the court upon application, and the court will then even determine the lab that the test is to be undertaken.
Let me ask Dr. Dede. You know, obviously, for you to even do this test in the first place, there's a lot of psychological, emotional backlash. So, are they ever cancelled before this DNA is taken out to prepare themselves for whichever
Yeah.
Is it necessary to counsel them and let them be aware?
In fact, the counseling done is as important as the test you want to do.
Okay.
Because if you're doing a test for a patient and the patient does not understand what you're doing, the patient can come and say, I don't know what they did for me in that lab. You know? So, in fact, there's a concept we call pre-sample collection counseling. That's even before you collect the sample from the patient, you are counseling the patient about what you want to do. Because DNA test is a novel test. You know, it's new. You know, so a lot of people don't even know about it. So we have to educate them first about sample collection. How is this sample collected? A buccal swab is collected from the mouth, all right, using specialized swab sticks and, you know, packaged and sent to the lab. You have to you have to even go ahead to explain certain simple genetic terms to them. Also explain that every human being has 23 pairs of chromosome. Under that, the 23 pairs of chromosome has 22 pairs of 22 pairs of autosome and 1 pair of sex chromosome. So you still go ahead to tell them the sex chromosome you're talking about is what determines the sex of the child. So if someone has XX, it means the person is a female. X and X is a pair. If someone has XY, it means the person is a male. X and Y is a pair. So you have to go ahead to explain these things in simple terms. When the result even comes back, we have to invite both couples. And as doctors, we are trained on how to manage conflict. Conflict resolution is important. How to break bad news. I've seen a situation where I heard someone got a result that she thought the child was for the husband, but sadly the child wasn't for the husband, and she threw the child away.
Wow.
And hurt the child.
What do you mean, as you gave
No,
it
like
for adoption?
No, she was approaching the lab, and someone gave her the information.
Was that even right? For the
No, it was
person to have
not.
done that?
That's why I was just oofed at that. It's not supposed to be so. Do you understand? And she hurt the child. So these are where we now have to talk about the psychological implication of negative testing. You have to bring the couples into your office. At some point, we can even do separate session. Hello, sir, please, I would like to see your wife alone. Hello, ma, please, I would like to see your husband alone. You try to counsel them, all right? Then break the bad news. And when you break the bad news, you'll be there to manage the bad news. So it's
okay. Now that you said that about the bad news, I want to get to Maymunah. How does it affect a man when he now finds out that this child he had cared for as long as the child has been alive is not biologically his? And then number two, there are two types of apparently there are two types of pregnancy that results in DNA tests like this. The woman can be pregnant and not know that and think that the man is his. So they call it either deceit, pregnancy of deceit and pregnancy of mistaken calculation.
True.
So how does that now affect the man's decision?
Sure, yeah. So I think these are cases of biological versus belonging. With the fact that, you know, when we talk about DNA, we're talking about biological, but of course in this case, we are choosing belonging because sometimes a lot of people even father children that they are not as. DNA revolution for every DNA revolution, there's an unspoken emotional trauma that is behind it. In the sense that we find out that, you know, it does not just confirm the biology, but it also, the result doesn't just confirm the biology, but also is either aids healing or deepens psychological scars. So for fathers that they find themselves in this situation, you find out that is it a calculated thing or
from the woman?
From the woman, is it calculated or is paternity fraud outrightly? It's a crime. The lawyer just said this. It's a crime, right? But the truth is that when we talk about calculated or something, or maybe the woman just didn't know it may be a contraceptive usage. We know how it's never 100%. They always tell you whether it is pills, whether it is injectable and all that. It could be somebody with irregular menstrual flows.
Exactly.
So it may not be that it's the woman's intention to say you belong to this baby belongs to you or another. Another thing I need to bring out here, because we are talking about DNA, is a chimerism. Good question. Chimerism is when somebody, a human being like any of us here has two distinct DNA. So it can be
Oh, yes, I was
disappearing.
gonna ask you about that. I was
It can
gonna
be
ask you about
disappearing.
that.
So it can be disappearing twin, meaning a twin, twins in the first trimester of pregnancy. The other one absorbs one.
Yeah, but what
So-
about the one? What about the one that even you get pregnant? You said it has happened before.
Yeah.
You sleep with two
Yeah,
men.
there's super
and
fecundation.
both children, even though they are twins,
Yes, the
belong
super
to the.
fecundation, yes.
My
the
goodness.
Super fecundability.
Yes.
And you've seen it happen before.
Yes, it happens.
I've seen
To-
My
yeah.
goodness.
Yes, they have different DNAs. So when DNA is done, please don't start throwing blames. Some people, if a child DNA will come, doesn't even belong to both parents. So it means that child might have been exchanged at birth or whatever. Or it also comes that the DNA belongs to the father, but doesn't belong to the mother.
Can I ask a question? How many days window would a woman have to sleep with two men for this result to achieve? Sorry, lawyer, I will get to you now. How many days windows?
Okay.
Window.
First of all, I would like to buttress on a point before I answer that question. Every woman has an average of 7 days fertile period.
Okay.
All right, 7 days fertile period. So it means that within that 7 days, every man that sleeps with that woman has an equal chance of getting her pregnant. So that 7 days is 4 days before ovulation, the day of ovulation, and 2 days
And
after
could have slept with two
ovulation.
men during that time.
Exactly. So that 7 days is the fertile period. So any man she sleeps with within that period has an equal chance of getting her pregnant. And do you know a misconception? A lot of women who come out and the children they have are not for their partners fell into this because one of the fuel for this is ignorance. A lot of people don't understand all of this. And it's sad that people always talk about it and they're not doctors, but they are trying to explain. And that's the problem. So now, within that 7 days, any man she sleeps with has an equal chance of getting her pregnant. It could be someone that goes 2 hours marathon sex can be shooting blank. It's true. While someone that just has a 20-second squeaky has already fertilized the whole site. It's the goalpost.
He's already done the Maradona.
No,
Do you
don't depend on
understand?
this.
So- no. It depends
and a lot of
because when we talk about fertilization, it's not about the duration of the sexual intercourse. It's about the quality of the sperm you are releasing. It's not about the length. So someone can be Maradona.
Not about the back side of the boat, but the
At all.
millions of sperms are released in
Do you
that
understand?
second. It's only one that is needed to
Only
just pierce
one.
the egg,
In fact,
and that is it.
let me just explain a simple
only one.
embroidery that happens. Just assume this is the egg, all right, the oocyte. Different sperms are released
Millions.
at the same time, millions. Once one
Pierces it.
penetrates, there's what we call a zonal pellucidal reaction that seals it up so that no other one goes in. That's the normal thing that happens.
normal.
But at some point, abnormalities happen.
Yeah.
So 2 sperm can.
That is so freaky.
But it's rare. That's now a chromosomal abnormality that sets
Yeah,
in
but
all
at
of
least-
that.
but
you know.
the fact
But
that
it's-
it's-
exactly. So some women can sleep with 4 people in a particular fertile window
Wow, very
and
busy.
don't know who exactly
That
is the
is their
person.
father.
Okay.
That's a lot of things that happen. So the woman will now see and say, okay, which man looks ready to marry me?
Okay, we'll
You
get
know,
back to
which
that.
man looks ready? And
I'll
I'll
get
tell
back
the
to that
person
question.
that, you know,
This is the one.
I'm pregnant for you.
Okay, I'll ask you. I'll get back because there's a question I want to ask about that. Let me get to Inibehe. Okay, what about when the legal father decides to stay after the revelation and what have you, and he now decides that, you know what, I love this woman, we can, go past it and what have you. But it's a child that has a very strong resemblance to his biological father. If for some reason the father now demands access, how does the law prioritize the child's best interest without creating a tug of war?
Well, I've been involved in a number of divorce cases, custody cases. Some of these cases, this issue we are discussing, were present. So I'm not just speaking theoretically. I've handled matrimonial matters where paternity was an issue. In fact, we have a couple of matters in the office now, in courts,
Wow.
where this issue of paternity is the basis of the petition for dissolution. Just I cannot speak to the facts of the parties involved for confidentiality. Now, custody is not determined based on the interest of the parties. In fact, even in cases where the court can even award custody other than to the biological parents.
Even to the detriment of the child's welfare.
What the court uses to determine is the best interest of the child.
Exactly.
What is in the best interest of the child?
Yeah.
However, you remember I started by laying a foundation that there is what we call the principle of presumption of paternity. Right? So where it is shown that, look, this child is not the biological child of the father, the man in the marriage. And the biological father elsewhere says, I want to come and take the child. He doesn't have that right. It is not as of right.
Even though he's the biological dad.
It is not automatic. It is not guaranteed. In fact, because the court will have to examine, one, the age of the child, two, the status of the contending parties, who is in a better position to cater for the child economically, emotional attachment. Who is this child more drawn to?
Yeah.
A child that has grown up, lived with a man believing that this is my father, recognizing this person as the father, possibly likely bears the man's name. The man undertakes responsibility for the child. You cannot just run from nowhere and say, I want to come and take the child. The court will look at what is in the best interest of the child. But let me just quickly speak a bit on this issue. I'm not a doctor. But I don't want us to approach this thing in a very esoteric manner. I'm a lawyer who is involved in matrimonial and divorce cases. And I can tell you that this paternity fraud we are discussing, the man who is the victim hardly recovers. Right. I have a case in the office now where the man is almost at the point of death. Because we realize that the wife, in quotes, the children are not that of the man. The woman is not even remorseful.
Oh, she's not remorseful.
And the paternity result, she's not remorseful at all. If you see this man, is the shadow of himself. About 2 or 3. None belongs to him. So I don't want us to just be scientific about it.
Yeah, it's not
Every woman, presumably, that is an adult, should know a menstrual cycle. So I'm not going to buy the argument that this paternity thing can happen mistakenly. If the doctor says it is within 7 days windows, why must you have sex within those 7 days? Why must you have unprotected sex within those 7 days?
Take responsibility.
Why unprotected sex within those 7 days? And in any event, this paternity thing usually becomes more contested in marriage. So there is first a breach of trust, there is a clear case of infidelity, and there is a monstrous case of infidelity because you don't just sleep with another man, you sleep with another man during your fertile window, you sleep with another man unprotected during your fertile window. So why will I now say, it was the village people that were pushing her to go and do it? This is mostly usually, this is deliberate. I'm not going to say that, it is mistake, it is very intentional.
No, we are going on a break. We'll go on a break and then we'll come back to this. Don't worry. See you right back. Don't leave us. Grab a cup of tea and come and join us in this very interesting conversation. See you soon. Welcome back to Perspectives. Let's dive right back in. Now, I don't know what to start. Okay, let me start with you, Maymunah. For men who decide to accept their fate, as in they know the test has been proven, blah, 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 and then for men who that child looks uncannily like the acclaimed biological father, what kind of pressure is he under by? Is he under by his family when he decides to stay?
So those men,
and how does that play a role in their decision?
Yeah. So those men that decide to stay, we call them quiet heroes. Because the truth is that because it is not easy. No, you can easily deal with the physical, the emotional. As a psychiatrist, I know exactly, from my practice, how these issues can lead to anxiety, depression, suicide. Men are more likely to take their lives than women. So we call them quiet heroes because against all odds, you are saying, this is my child, maybe due to the bonding over time, due to the values and alignment, due to the emotional attachment, it's not like you don't want to let go, but you are bonded with this child.
Even the child.
So even the child that's bonded, it does a lot. Identity crisis.
Ask, at what age is a child too young to be told this thing?
No. Early childhood is still redeemable. Early childhood, or infancy, early childhood, it's still redeemable because this child is still growing, not so self-aware. The issue of identity crisis, role identity versus identity crisis hasn't yet really matured. So if properly, supported, created a safe environment for this child to heal, nurtured well, they likely little or no crisis. But you see that adolescent age, forget it.
Wow.
This child is already like, who am I? Where do I belong? Let's not forget that all of us as humans, we identify with where we are from, where we grew up, and other things that comes with it. That is the critical part of it, that this child is like trying to where do I belong to? And sometimes you see the child saying, you know what, I want to really trace my lineage. I want to get back to the people that really gave birth to me. I understand that now I may have two families, my biological and my social family.
Is that an automatic reaction?
It's not. It's not automatic. They go through a real roller coaster of emotions before they finally settle. In adulthood like us, we are now being told. One of the last cases I dealt with 3 months ago was a 36-year-old who was going. Yes,
that's when they found out.
Yes, was going to bring the parents over to the US, and then they did the DNA. It's not their child.
Oh my goodness.
So now, so right now it's like, so all their we are relocating, and we are going to be American citizens. So now everybody, the mother is verified, is being judged. The father is being looked at as if you are a weak man. You didn't take care of your household well. That is why this whole mess happened. So there's a whole lot of psychological spectrum of challenges that springs up when the father decides to stay. When he says something like, the person never really, okay, it's healed. He is not lying. It's a whole lot. The society already has configured men to be a man up and all that, So aside from the fact that you are being taunted that you are a weak man, and the fact that you didn't take care of your household well and all that, you decide to stay. So extended family wahala will come in. Some families, they even say, look, you don't belong to us. How can you still keep that child when you know that this child doesn't belong to you?
This case even applies more when the child comes out mixed race. I'm sure you've seen instances where one sibling is mixed race or is looking half Indian.
No, I've seen a case that the first child doesn't belong to the man, is a best man's son.
Wow.
The second one belongs to the man, that is the husband, and the third one belongs to our recent boyfriend. So 3 children.
3 children.
Yes. And what led to it, the man had an accident, they're already adolescent, and then they needed to check so that they can know whose blood matches. Yeah. And
are they still together?
Everybody came to collect their child.
Every
child. So the lawyer said it was a whole lot of legal battle, whole lot. But the man on his own side, the lawyers also spoke to the children, and the children were like, okay, well, since our fathers are still alive, this one, the first child that belonged to the best man had all 3 girls, and this is a son. Yeah. So that was a whole dragging. Give me back my son.
I've had a similar incident.
So it's a whole different story.
Back where the lady, is about to get married, but she has had a boyfriend before. So the courtship in this marriage was just very short, about 3 weeks to 1 month, like arranging marriage and all of that. And the woman got pregnant and delivered the baby. So the ex had to come back and told her that, I think this child is mine. What's going on? We need to do a test for this child. Okay. So she was like, do you want to scatter my marriage? Don't you see that I'm now married and all of this and all of that? So at the end of the day, it was back and forth. There was blackmail. Give me 100K, if not, I'll divulge. So the blackmail was just getting too much. She had spent over $1 million or something just for blackmail. She had to disclose to her husband. The husband now said, okay, I understand you were in a relationship with this man before I met you. So it's not like you were cheating. Let's do a test for you and that child, but peradventure, it could also be my child. So let's do for myself, which is your new husband, your ex, and for the child.
And what happened?
So what happened was, then the result came. It came, and I was trying to vet the result. It didn't belong to the husband. It didn't belong to the ex. So I had to call the head of operation.
So there was a third person involved.
No, I had to, because I was as shocked as you are now. So I had to call the head of operation and requested for all the documentation. And usually what happens in DNA analysis, we take multiple samples just in case we want to repeat the test. We don't have to call you back. So we take up to 6 different samples, sometimes 3, 4, depending, but we take multiple. So I had to repeat the test. I sorted out all the logistics and all of that just to get, because I understood the implication of that.
Yeah.
So when I saw that this result that came was the actual test that was done, I had to disclose to the parties involved.
So there was a third party involved.
So she now had to inform everybody in my office that actually there's someone else in the picture. So there was someone else.
So you see,
some
women are very busy.
So these are the caliber of people that come for DNA tests that will now account for the 1 in 4. So
okay, let me ask another intriguing question. Now that we're talking about this, I want to ask. You said, okay, usually when this DNA test occurs, some men decide to stay. You tell the wife, okay, I've forgiven you, I have loved this child, whatever. And the woman grows up, stays in the marriage with other children who are obviously biologically his, and is confident that this man is going to take care of his children equally. So what now happens when the man now dies and she finds out that the man has disinherited the son? Number one, can she sue? And then what if the reverse is the case? The man did not do a DNA test, because you were telling me, I remember you were telling me about some guy who said everybody should come and do DNA test after the father had passed. So the man, they now do DNA test for some reason of all the children, and now find out that one son or one child is not the man's, but the child has already inherited. Will he be stripped of his inheritance? So these are two in one question, two questions.
Interesting. Well, quickly, there is what we call legitimacy and legitimation. It is possible for an illegitimate child to become legitimate under the law. And that happens by a process of recognition, where a man knows that, look, this child is not mine. But during his lifespan, he had recognized this child.
As his legitimate son.
Yes, given a name to this child, undertaking responsibility for this child. He has now legitimized an otherwise illegitimate child.
Okay.
The law allows for it. But when it comes to the issue of will, testamentary intention, what the court will look at, because, I draft wills, testamentary instruments for clients. It is a document of extreme confidentiality that is not supposed to be disclosed or known until the person has passed. In fact, I even we lawyers do draft wills for clients that the spouse are not aware of. That is how secretive. The only thing they will know is that, oh, my husband has the will, or my wife has the will, but the content, you don't ever disclose it. So I have seen situations where in a will, a man will recognize a child he knew was not his as his child in the will, and then distribute some part of his estate for the benefit of that child. There are also circumstances where a man can decide to exclude somebody who otherwise was under his responsibility from inheriting a part of his estate. Now, the jurisprudence on that, is a bit tricky. One, there is the capacity, testamentary capacity. Your right to say, look, I have the capacity to say, free will to say, this is who I want to benefit from my estate, to inherit my property, my funds, my money in banks, and so on. But you also have the right to exclude someone from benefiting from your estate. However, where someone was under your responsibility, you had catered for this person, that person sometimes have the right to go to court to say that some part of the estate should be given. But that usually succeeds more where there was no will. If the man had died intestate, without a will, people who he had catered for, they have the right to benefit from the estate. But where he had made a will and
intentionally
coupled with statutory marriage under the Act, what people call court marriage, the English marriage, he has freedom to say this is who should benefit from my estate.
Okay, what about the other case then, where he died thinking the child was his, for some reason they all did their test, and then now find out that one child is not theirs. Meanwhile they've shared the inheritance.
Well, these are matters that people go to court regularly to contest that, look, this person was not the biological child.
Stripped of the inheritance?
That usually works. I have made a distinction where, number one, the outcome may determine on whether there was a will or not. If there was no will, in fact, there are cases of prominent Nigerians who pass, and then people will come from all strata and say, this person was my father. In such instances, the court can call for paternity.
But if there was a will and he has already inherited it, it could have been found out.
Nothing can be done to change it.
So
That is why I spoke. If the man had recognized this person as his child, the principle of legitimacy would come in. You can legitimize an otherwise, illegitimate child. But I want to again caution that it is real life, people's life that we are talking about. Yeah. From my experience as a lawyer, I'm not a doctor. A doctor will look at it differently. But from my attitude as a lawyer, what I see,
cut and dry,
people have to deal through. I did a matrimonial matter in Akwa Ibom a few years back, where this couple had just gotten married, and in the course of the marriage, the man found evidence that the wife had slept with the man who was the chairman of the marriage. The man had slept with a pastor. The matter had gone to the police when there were accusations that you are harassing me and all that. And the man even found evidence that the wife was sleeping with the police officer who was investigating the matter. When we filed the petition for dissolution, you know what we did? You know what I did? I joined the pastor. I joined the man who was the chairman of the marriage. Because in law, we call it co-respondent. If you are going to
pregnancy involved, there was
no, thankfully. If you are going to succeed, right, in making a case of adultery, usually, you have to join what we call the co-respondent. That is the person with which the respondent committed that adultery.
It's interesting.
It is a very messy thing.
Yes, it's interesting that you mentioned this. It's interesting that you mentioned this because I want to ask you, Dr. Didi. Yeah. You know, we always talk about men going to go and do paternity tests. Always men wanting to find out. But women do it for, obviously, you just said now, when they want to decide, how do they get the test from the... If a woman is sleeping with 3 men, like this interesting woman you just mentioned now, has 3 lovers, how do you even get the samples of the test to now, without them knowing, to now say you want to come and do the DNA test?
Does you mean she has slept with different men?
Yes, now she's pregnant and she slept with different men, like the example of who you just gave.
So what happens?
What do you need to collect from the men themselves?
No, you collect a buccal swab from the men.
What's buccal swab?
Buccal means the mouth. Sorry, I thought I was speaking to my medical colleagues.
Exactly. Some of us are not.
Sorry, so buccal means the mouth.
Okay, but for you to do that, he has to be aware.
Yes, you have to
How
take
can you
consent.
sneakily collect other samples?
The thing is, one thing about medicine currently is we have to work hand in hand with the lawyers.
So you can't collect hair?
No. Hair is only used for forensic studies and to detect heavy metal poisoning. So let's say someone has been exposed to some heavy metal like lead, cadmium,
and stuff like that.
You can take the hair sample and all of that. But for you to do DNA, you need a living tissue.
Okay, can you collect toothbrush, for instance?
Yes, you can collect the toothbrush, but there are some criteria that has to be met. It means that in that case, the person shouldn't have used toothpaste.
Yes.
Because in fact, there's what we call SOP. SOP means standard operating procedure. If you don't use the SOP, it means you might have a false result. And it means you are going to be paying for more logistics. That's why, as a medical doctor, we try to ensure that the SOP is followed to the letter. We train all our staff.
So in other words, you cannot collect tests or samples from a man without his knowledge?
No, they must be aware. Even if you go and collect the sample from that man did not give you a consent.
Yes.
Yeah, but because just like men who also go and use those DNA.
No, I know what Auntie say. Like when the man now goes behind the woman's back.
So why can't the woman do
that? Let me state something. There are 2 types of DNA.
Yes.
We have the DNA for peace of mind, and we have the legal DNA.
Yes.
How do they differ?
So now, the 2 are, like the test that is done is the same chain of custody, but what differs is, in the peace of mind, the man just wants to know if there is a connection, a biological relationship between myself and my child. That's why he's doing that test. So let's say the man just, he senses the distrust.
But I focus, we've discussed the man. The woman is what I'm talking about now. She has slept with 3 men over the course of 7 days or whatever. As we can see, that obviously is not as strange as we think.
Well,
and she's looking, apart from you decide that it's A you want to give this child to. But in her heart of hearts, she's thinking, I don't want to give this child to the wrong father.
Okay.
So at least, even if I'm going to do it, let me at least know who the real father of the child is. That's the question.
No, the thing is, the sample you are taking from a man. You are taking, it's just like...
Yes, now obviously you're taking it from the
so
man
it means
now.
the man has to give you consent.
But the point is that she's sleeping with 3 men who don't know about each
The
other.
3 men will come for, the 3 men will come.
So are you saying that she has to let all 3 men know?
That's where the psychologist comes in. Because it's a multidisciplinary approach. As a genetic expert, I don't work alone.
Can I ask you, now that you've said that, let me ask Dr. Maymunah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's use this scenario of a woman sleeping with 3 men.
3 men, yes.
Okay? Each one thinks you're the only person that they're sleeping with.
Exactly.
Do you understand?
They don't know about the other
They don't know
partner.
about the other person. So is it a question of where she... So if the man thinks he's the only one you're sleeping with, wouldn't he wonder why you want DNA tests?
Exactly. So this is
So
where...
what now happens?
This is where you must come out, truth in discussing reason why. You cannot just go and... the thing, I know where this conflict is coming from. We've been sold lies in the media.
Yeah, but the woman that is doing it is already lying.
In movies,
Yeah.
that you have to take care, that you, maybe the cloth the man is wearing. So you go and, so it shows as if, you can just pick something random to go do DNA. But it's deeper than that, It has to be living tissue.
So how do you explain to the
so the
man
truth is that
he wants to do DNA test?
you have to come out and say this is it.
come out,
No,
because
there's no other way.
There's no other way.
You want to sedate the man.
Sorry, let me paint.
Except you sedate the man.
Let me paint a scenario. Even if that man happens to, let's say, be in the house and you give... Oh God, I'm saying all this on the media. And you try to make the man to sedate, and you maybe sedate the man
How
such
would
that
you get sample of him?
you can take this
Get
sample
sample.
of the man.
Okay,
But that
okay.
man can go and sue you
Definitely.
because you collected sample from him without his
That is the thing
consent.
that
No,
Auntie
but-
is saying, that when men go to go and
She
do
is
DNA
there.
without the
Anywhere.
women knowing,
Exactly.
it's a problem
No,
too.
no,
because
excuse
the
me.
consent of the man was also not
Yes,
taken.
that's what I'm saying.
Yes, the consent
Please, can
was
you
also taken.
get into
You heard
this?
what I said,
Because
right?
he just said that if you take the sample from a man, a woman who is, has 3 lovers, and the man sedates the man to sleep, and she takes his sample. The man can sue her. But at the same time, men do it to women.
No, it's different.
How is it different?
How is it different? How is it
not
different?
No.
How is
It
it
is not the
different?
same thing.
No. How is it not
Let
the
me
same
explain
thing?
to you. Let me explain to you. Now, the
It's
doctor,
both deceit.
Exactly.
I said
Without
earlier
consent.
that the doctor is right. There are 2 ways to go about it. The man can just on his own undertake this. But the law, section 63 of the Child Rights Act of 2003, gives that power to the court. The difference is that when it is a court-ordered DNA, the laboratory will be determined by the judge.
True.
Yeah.
The outcome of the result is not even given to the parties. It's sent confidentially to the court. And the court will disclose it. So
to do that.
if the outcome of that DNA is going to become a subject of matrimonial litigation, divorce, or custody and so on, it has to go straight to the court. Now, regarding your question, in the case
How is
of
it different from man
yes,
to
that is the
woman?
difference, the distinction now. In the case of a man taking the child to go for DNA, it is the man's own sample that will be used with his own knowledge.
So he's giving consent.
In the case of a woman, the man is not aware that a sample is being used. I stated that there are privacy concerns. But the truth of the matter is that the moment a man begins to imagine or see the need to undertake DNA, something has triggered it.
Yeah. Fidelity.
No, you don't just wake up one day
There's no
and look at your child and say,
Relationship security, yeah.
Okay, so that's the difference. When
Yeah.
the man does DNA,
So this one is
he's
peace of
willingly
mind.
giving up his samples.
This peace of mind
When the
now.
woman collects DNA, she sneaks, he's doing it with
and
that knowledge.
there could be admissibility issues. If subsequently there is contestation as to custody, as to whether the marriage should be dissolved or not, and then the DNA result is to be tendered in evidence.
I have to ask one quick
This
question
can become relevant.
because I'm
Well, we have
running
just
against
5
time.
minutes, yeah.
Should DNA be part of the process in childbirth?
I would like to...
If it should be
Gender
compulsory.
test.
I would like
Is
to...
it the-
No. They
Sorry.
want to say the
No. One quick
compulsory.
answer. Quick answer.
Okay,
Should DNA test be made compulsory?
DNA shouldn't be made compulsory at
Shouldn't.
birth.
It
And
shouldn't.
I'll give my reasons.
Shouldn't be.
First of all, as a country, we are doing well health-wise, but we still have a lot of other issues to spend money on. We can't start spending money on DNA analysis for everybody. DNA analysis is not for the poor. It's expensive.
How much is it anyway? Isn't it?
I'm on the media, so
No, but I hear there are home kits that you can use as well.
There are home kits, but
How
the
reliable
price
are those?
is very reliable.
The home kits are
They
reliable.
are very reliable. So, one, it's going to be very expensive. We have a lot of things to spend money on in Nigeria.
Okay.
And
secondly, there are some... First of all, if we want to make DNA analysis compulsory at birth, it means that it will cause a lot of chaos. There are a lot of children that are not father, that are not the children of some fathers that they think
Yeah,
they're
but the fathers are entitled to know now.
It will create a lot of chaos, psychological chaos. One. Secondly, there are some men that can't father a child.
Yes, I was going to ask that.
And if their wife has already gone to get a child from outside and they're already living peacefully.
Yeah.
If you go and throw in fuel into an already burning fire,
Thank you so
chaos.
much.
So the chaos is not just economical, physical, or spiritual. A lot with emotional that comes into it.
Thank you. Quick one.
Well, the law allows for adoption.
Yes,
That the man cannot father a child. Let him go through adoption.
Yes,
The question is not whether it should be made. The truth is that it cannot be made.
Okay.
The government doesn't have the power.
Okay, thank you.
The government does not have the power to make that kind
There's
of
only
law.
one country.
No, please, we have to go. We have to go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Maymunah, thank you so much, Dede. Thank you so much. So the numbers may shock, as you can see, and the truth may wound. But DNA alone doesn't define family. For some, reconciliation and rebuilding are possible. For others, walking away is the only path to peace. Whatever the choice, what matters is honesty, healing, and the courage to move forward. And as I keep saying, always remember that life is a learning curve. That's all we have time for today. You've been watching Perspectives here on Arise News with me, with Osime. See you next week.